right, welcome back everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to PickMySolar's Facebook Live. We're riding solo today. My colleague Patrick, he kind of left me hanging here, but we'll maybe have him back next week. We'll see. All right, we have a very important topic today. A little bit boring, to be honest, but it's extremely important if you're considering going solar. So we'll get into it. But before we do, just what is new in renewable energy? This is pretty cool. Actually spent some time down in Australia, and solar is everywhere down there, but pretty awesome to see that over half of Australia's electricity is supplied by renewable energy for the first time. So that would be wind, solar. That is pretty awesome. There's a scientist design for new grid batteries for renewable energy. Maybe we'll put some more details on that in the comments. LA approves the largest combined solar and storage system in the entire country, 400 megawatts. That is massive. Wonder where that is. That looks like that is Silver Lake right there, but I wonder where the actual system is there. As always, ask us anything, write us a comment, shoot us an email. We'll answer any and all of your questions. Okay, deep dive number 85. So how to claim the 30% federal tax credit. We did do a segment on this last year, but I think it's worth going over again. I think most people right now that are going solar or they're thinking about going solar, the tax credit is definitely in the forefront of their project. So I'm going to walk you through it. Not complicated, but just as a disclaimer, I am not a tax professional. I am pretty well versed in this topic, but you definitely need to consult with a CPA or your tax professional. Okay, so what is the federal solar tax credit? So right now, for this year, it is 30%. It's a 30% tax credit for homeowners who go solar. It's also called the investment tax credit, the ITC for short, and it will be stepping down at the end of this year, which I know we've definitely touched on that in some of our previous segments, but at the end of this year, it's going to be stepping down to 26%. So marginal decrease, but if you are claiming it for this year, it's going to be the full 30%. And the way that works, just as a synopsis here, I know I won't go into too much detail because we do have segments, maybe we'll link in the comments that really dive into the solar tax credit, but as long as you have a tax liability that's going to be equal or greater than your 30% cost of the solar system project, you are eligible for this tax credit. Okay, so there's two forms. There is a 1040 and a 5695, which is specific to solar. So those are going to be the forms that we'll be kind of going through today, and these are the forms that you will need, or your CPA will need, when they're filing for your taxes. Okay, so if we back up, actually we don't need to back up, but on form, there we go. On form 1040, the 53rd line on that, it's going to say your residential energy credits. And it's going to say attach 5695, which is the specific form for solar. So you're basically going to input what your tax credits are. So for 5695, we'll dive into it here. The first line is going to be your solar system net cost. So all installed costs for that project, it's basically whatever's going to be on your contract, that's going to be the number that you're going to put on that line. So it may include main panel upgrades, it may include trenching work. It's really going to be specific to your project, but all of those costs included for your solar system to be installed, that's what you're going to want to put on that first line there. Okay, lines 2 through 4, you are going to be putting 0, most likely at least. So solar water heating, small wind energy, geothermal heat pumps, probably not something that's going to be applicable to you. Definitely not applicable to what we're discussing here today with solar. So you would put zeros for that. Line 5, you're going to add those up, lines 1 through 4, and you're going to then multiply that by the 30%. So multiply it by 0.3, and that's going to equal what your actual tax credit amount is going to be. Line 7, again, not applicable here. You'd put a no there. That's relating to qualified fuel cell property, which that would be a no. Lines 8 through 11, also, you're going to put zeros there. That's, again, relating to the fuel cell property, which is not applicable. Line 12, this is somewhat important. So rollover credits, this would be from 2018, but so any rollover credits that you may have. So let's say you claim the tax credit last year and you couldn't take advantage of the full amount for whatever reason. Maybe your tax liability was not high enough. You can roll those credits over into this year's filing. So that's where you would input that number. Line 13, you're going to be summing up lines 6, 11, and 12. And that's pretty well stated there on that line. Line 14, reference the form instructions. So that just reads, limitation based on tax liability. Enter the amount from the residential energy efficient property credit limit worksheet. So you kind of just see those instructions there, but pretty self-explanatory. Line 15, so residential energy efficiency or efficient property credit. So enter either line 13 or 14, whichever is smaller. So this is your actual tax credit. This is where you would put that in there. Line 16, if there's any carry forward, so if line 15 is less than 13, that's where you're going to input the difference there. Okay? If I'm going too fast, you can always rewind it when we post this video and just watch it again. So again, this is kind of what we looked at on the first slide there. So on Form 1040, line 53, this is referencing those numbers in the solar form 5695. That's it. So again, not a CPA, but this is kind of the basics here. So it'll give you a sense of what this process is going to look like. Hopefully you do have a CPA or a tax pro that you can rely on to handle this for you. I'm sure they're familiar with it, especially if you're in a state that has pretty a lot of solar adopted already, like California, New York, Massachusetts. They're going to be familiar with this. Pretty straightforward project or process. One thing that you will need to obtain that your CPA would likely not have access to is your actual solar contract. So if you don't have that on file, which hopefully you do, ask your installer. If you went solar with PickMySolar, ask us. We can get that paperwork ready for you so that you have everything that you need to file a tax credit. That's it for today. Hopefully everyone thought this was informative. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.